everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Malika and I like to talk about movies. And today we're going to be talking about BeDazzled. It is an oldie but a goodie. It was back when Brendan Fraser was in his prime, and after watching this movie again, it just reminded me of what a good actor he is. I would actually love to do a movie chat on Encino Man. That was one of my favorites, but I cannot find that movie anywhere. So unfortunately, I won't be able to do that one anytime soon. I did want to point out that I probably look very tired today. Maybe you didn't notice, and maybe I'm just pointing it out to you, which is not great. But I have actually, I'm one day fresh from FetishCon. And let me tell you guys, it is so fun, but it is exhausting. It is just a whirlwind of excitement and conversations and meeting new people and talking to all your old friends. It's like a summer camp for our industry. And I'm exhausted. It lasts a couple days where I guess you just need to kind of recoup all your energies, and my face is just showing it. I am still very tired, but work has to be done, and I just watched this movie last night and I just had to talk to you guys about it. So let's go. The whole premise of the movie is the devil wants to convert this guy, right? She wants his soul. So the movie starts out like old movies do, where they start out with all the credits first, and it's showing scenes of the city. And every now and then it pauses and shows a label on somebody, like sinner or saint or a cheater or a double dipper. They get funnier as they go along. Someone who only tips 5%, or somebody who's a virgin. And then we land on Elliot, who's Brendan Fraser's character. And he gets a bunch of labels. He gets lonesome. He gets lovesick. He gets doormat. He got all of these labels, and so of course the devil is going to target him. So we see Elliot going into where he works, and all of his co-workers are very much trying to avoid him. He's obviously the office joke. He's not respected in the office, and nobody wants to really talk to him or be around him. And at the end of the day, they're all at a bar. Of course, Elliot has kind of found them there and was like, hey, you guys didn't tell me about this, ha 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 ha. And of course they didn't tell him because they didn't want him there. We see the first glimpse of the woman who he is in love with. It's a woman from the office, and although they've never spoken, he knows everything about her. And I gotta say, that's a little creepy. The way he talks to her at this moment is creepy. But what he says is, dear God, I would do anything to have that woman in my life. And so who shows up? The devil, of course. And who is the devil in this movie but Elizabeth Hurley? And back in those days, she was the bee's knees as far as gorgeous women go, right? She was that top notch. She's absolutely insanely gorgeous. And here she is wanting to talk to Elliot. So she's trying to convince him that she's the devil. And he doesn't believe her, obviously. And she goes, I'll prove it to you. Make a wish. So he goes, I wish for a Big Mac and Coke. And she goes, your wish is granted. And then they get on a bus. They go to McDonald's, order a Big Mac and Coke, and then she makes him pay for it. And all through the movie, she's the devil, of course. So she's doing all this mischievous stuff, like setting a car on fire or making the parking meter. She snaps and the parking meter expires and she writes out a ticket. She's doing all these mischievous things that would make people feel inconvenienced. So anyways, obviously he ends up believing her at some point, and his first wish is to be very rich and very powerful, and he wants to be married to Allison. That's the woman that he's in love with. So he wakes up. He's got this long flowing hair. He looks like a Hispanic man, and they've done up all his makeup and everything. And he walks out of the bedroom, and the butler starts speaking to him in Spanish. And he says in Spanish, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. And he goes, oh, I speak Spanish? It was so funny, that whole part, because he was saying in Spanish how much his high school Spanish teacher would be impressed by how well his Spanish is. It's funny because obviously he's like dropped into this life that he doesn't have a memory of. And as he's going along, he meets all his friends in this life, and they're the same friends from The Office. So all the characters are played by the same people. They're just in the different scenarios for all of his wishes. And what we find out is that Allison, his wife in this scenario, is cheating on him because he never asked for her to be in love with him. And then they find out that he is a Colombian drug cartel. That's why he's rich and powerful. And all of his friends from work, they double cross him, and it's just chaos. So he's got this pager, and he dials 666 to get the devil back and pull him out of this situation. So the next wish is he wants to be the most emotionally sensitive man in the world, and he wants to have her in love with him. He wants Allison to be in love. So she snaps her fingers and he winds up on a beach. And again, his makeup is so funny. He's got this really short, like curly red hair and these weird teeth. And he's talking about the sunset and it keeps making him cry. And he's talking about how much he loves her and it makes him cry. And it's so pathetic. And she's clearly annoyed by it. And he's writing her sonnets. And every time he looks at the sunset, he just starts crying again. This scene is so funny, you guys. But she is in love with him, right? She's like, I love you so much, but... And then his friends show up, and this time they're these bros from the beach, and they throw a sand in his face, and he's just letting it happen, and she goes off with them because they're manly, right? She wants to be treated poorly, is what she says, because she's so sick of Elliot's over-emotional behavior. She loves him, but she's not going to stay with him. So, of course, he dials 666 because that's not going to work either. So he decides, well, what do women want? They want a macho man to treat them bad. If that's what she wants, then I want to be really big, really strong. I want to be an athlete. I want to be a professional basketball player. And that's what happens next. He ends up being this extremely pale with pure white hair, very, very tall basketball player. And at first you're seeing him making all these shots and he's this amazing basketball player, breaking the backboard. He's got the whole crowd going wild. He's scoring all the things. His friends are actually the announcers in this one. I say friends. It's the office co-workers. They're not really his friends, but they're the announcers for the basketball game, and they do a hilarious job just making fun of those guys. And when we see him after the game, he's getting an interview. He's sweating profusely, which is funny enough because it's just water dripping out of his hair. And it's so funny to see that because he's kind of talking through it, and the guy that's interviewing him is getting completely soaked. But what happens is we see that he is very, very dumb. He's a complete idiot. He keeps saying, yeah, we got to give it 110%, and we just got to go out there and give it 110%. So he's a complete moron, right? And we see Allison, who in this scenario is a reporter. She goes into the locker room with him, and she's very clearly interested in this big, big guy. And she keeps making all this innuendo about how big he must be. He must be so huge. And she'd love to see his talent, right? Wink, wink. We all know what she wants. He starts to change and immediately goes, oh my God, oh no, because it's so tiny. And then she starts making all these references to itty bitty, teeny weeny, very small. So the devil not only made him a complete moron, but she gave him this humongous body with a super teeny weeny thing. And that is absolutely hilarious. So again, he dials 666 after some struggle because he's so dumb he can't remember 666. There's all these notes around his locker that say 666, and he picks one up and he goes 999. The movie's hilarious, you guys. You should see this one. What was the next one? Let's see. Very smart with a big member. That's what he wants. And he wants to know everything about everything, right? So we cut to a party where he's kind of the star of this party. He's this esteemed author and he knows everything. And he's pompous, of course, because everyone that thinks they know everything is pompous. And he's very handsome and very regal. And Allison is very, very into him. And she wants to go back to his place because she's so into this very, very intellectual man. So he brings her into his room, and that's where we see his partner, a man. A very flamboyant man. And he's like, oh, what are you doing with her? And he goes, no, I'm not gay. No way, I'm not gay. I promise you I'm not gay. And he kisses her and he goes, oh, yep, I'm gay. I'm gay. The devil is very mischievous, isn't she? She's not giving him at all what she wants. Did I mention, by the way, that he has 7 wishes? I think I completely forgot to say that part. He's got 7 wishes with the devil, not 3, not 6, but 7 wishes. So, at this part, he knows that he needs to be something important. He needs to be something that is highly regarded, not gay, right? So, he wants to be president this next time. And this is his 5th wish. So, she makes him a president, sure enough, but it's Abraham Lincoln at that show. You know, the famous show. So he gets out of there very, very quickly. That one doesn't last very long. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm Lincoln, and we're here at the show. So at this point, he's like, listen, I'm just going to wait on my wishes. I know I've got 2 left. I see what you're doing here, devil. You're purposefully messing them up. And she goes, oh, no, you've got 1 wish left. You don't have 2. Well, of course, he's confused. They go through all the wishes. No, I've only used 5. That means I have 2 left. Well, she considers the Big Mac and Coke his very first wish, which is very sneaky of her. He gets all mad. He goes into the church and he's raising a fuss, and he ends up getting arrested by her, by the way. Her in a cop uniform, and he wants to talk to God. He's like, I know there's a God. I want to talk to him. I want to speak to him directly. He gets thrown into the jail cell, and he's with some guy that he's got the cornrows, and he seems like a hard guy, but then we kind of get the idea that he's God. It's the viewer, because he's saying things that are like, you just need to look inside yourself. Your soul doesn't belong to you or the devil. It belongs to God. And so that's a cute little thing in there where he meets him in jail, right? And he's not who you would expect him to be. He's not some mystical creature. He's just a normal guy, right? So that's a fun little scene, and it makes him think about what his next wish should be. But he's kind of refusing to give the devil what she wants. So she's threatening him with hell and eternal damnation. And he says, fine. I'll make my final wish. I want Allison to live a happy life. And that breaks it. Because the selfless acts of redemption voids the whole contract. And so he gets to keep his soul after all. And the movie doesn't quite end there. Of course, he is feeling a lot more confident, and he goes up to Allison, his coworker, and he's like, hey, do you want to grab a drink? And she's like, no, I'm seeing somebody. And he starts to move into his new place, and it's the same actress, but obviously in this movie, she's not the same person, but she is nerdy like he was, and kind of self-conscious and goofy, and that's where it kind of ends off, where obviously he's found his right match, a woman just as beautiful as the other woman was, but a better fit for him, right? He didn't need the devil. He didn't need all these extra wishes and all these extra lives. He just needed to be himself, and the right person would come along, right? So that's the movie. It's very, very funny, very goofy, very Brendan Fraser, and I think you'll enjoy it. So make sure you give it a watch. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and follow my channel for more movie chats, because there will be one every Monday. Here's hoping that I will keep this up. Bye!